Welcome to the Sparky Coach podcast. This platform was built by Sparkies for Sparkies. We simply exist to make business owners more profitable, or businesses more profitable and more predictable. So we want to work with people that work hard because we love working hard too, that work smart because you got to be on top of the business, people that are kind because no one likes a dickhead. Am I right? People who want results because that's what we're here for, right? And people who want to be part of a like-minded community. So if you're interested in hearing more about the platform, please reach out and enjoy the podcast.
Welcome to Sparky Coach podcast. Got the lounge room sessions today with Joe Pratt. So welcome along, Joey.
How you going?
Good to have you here, mate. Good to have you here. So, Joe and I want to have a bit of a dive into conversation around all things workload related, I guess. Workload, finding work, have I got enough on, don't I have enough on, don't I have enough on, what's going in that particular space there, because it's a common, discussion that we have amongst other mates, other people in other industries, friends, other Sparkies. I think it's something that you probably have a conversation with nearly everyone that you walk past in a day-to-day basis. You know, how are things? You know, oh, they're not bad. You know, they're going well. But I think really sort of drill down on a couple of things here, and there's probably a few key areas that we want to touch on today and around, hey, what do you actually have on at the moment? Like where the existing workload is sitting, where the forecasting is associated with that, how you can look at those areas to see what's going on. Then obviously there's your existing database or existing client base, whatever you want to describe it as. Some are going to be good, some are going to be fantastic, some may be average. So there's an understanding of where there's a ranking system associated with the existing people you have done work before and how you can continually nurture that particular base. And then the last sort of thing we sort of want to dive into and have a bit of a conversation around is a little bit around ways to go about continually growing your business or continue. Maybe I don't want to frame it that way, actually. Continually looking for new opportunities is probably the way, because there's two things I think of when I look at that is that most of us are probably striving for the gold standard, gold star client. So there's probably an element of you've got some clients that if push came to shove, if you could replace them with someone better, there's potential that you may be looking at that, may do that. So probably looking at how you can continually look for new opportunities and build out your base. And it may lead to growth within your business, or it may lead to doing the type of work that you want to be, that you sort of set out, or like what your goal is to achieve. Yeah. So probably first thing here to have a look at is the existing workload. So in that sense, what do you generally look for in your forecasting and getting an understanding of knowing where you're at, other than just looking at your job management, being like, oh, I've got 50 jobs or anything like that? Is there anything that you put in place to have an idea of what we've got upcoming?
Yeah, so we, as you said, looking at your job management system and saying you got 50 jobs, that could mean what, 51-hour jobs or 50 10-day jobs? Like the number's kind of irrelevant in the forecasting sense. But we've got a spreadsheet that we run mainly for our projects, not necessarily our service jobs, because service jobs you can just squeeze in where you can. But for our projects, that's like our ones where we definitely know we've got like different stages, like infrastructure, rough in, cut out, fit out, testing, that kind of stuff. When you can break it down into rough timeframes, it's a bit difficult. I found it difficult to do when we were first starting our business up because we weren't familiar with the timeframes. But once you've done a few projects, it's easier to figure out, and the builder, working with the builder is the key one. Like figure out the time frame. Like some builder might be a week between rough in and cut out, or some builders might be a month between rough in and cut out. You just got to learn that client and how they work. Like we got a builder client of ours. It's amazing. Like what did we roughed in last week? We're cutting out this week.
Oh wow! So the sheeties were right behind you.
Yeah, but it was planned. It wasn't rushed. It was like this is when you're in, this is when you're in. It's organised. It's not like some builders where it's like, oh crap, you got to get in because the sheeties are booked in.
Mm-hmm.
It was Sparkies and plumbers are in this day, inside guys are this day, and we just work around that, which I find quite helpful in the
So
forecast.
on and so forth. Yeah. So probably want to have a look at that a little bit more around your forecasting and getting an understanding around that, particularly with your project style work. Is I think what you touched on there is breaking it down to the various stages, and I think so. Like within when you're estimating jobs or quoting the jobs, I think it's really, really important that you utilize a quote checker, which is the tool that we use here within Sparky Coach. So you're front costing the job, because the way that you quote a job, generally speaking, is not the way that you execute it. And what I mean by that is with project style work, you're probably basing everything off, generally speaking, per meter rates, or per point or per item rates. Like if we just generalize it all in a nutshell. Now, you don't execute in a per point and you don't execute in a meter rate. It's done in different stages due to the way that we do it. So, like, obviously, for those who may not be fully across it, is that like when you're doing a per point, it's a combination of the materials associated to do the whole job. So let's just use a PowerPoint, for example. PowerPoint will include the bracket, the cabling, any consumable items to support, fix, help you get to that, get that done, and then the PowerPoint to fit it off, right? Then on top of that, you've got an element of time associated with that particular item, which is for the whole stage. So let's just say it's 45 minutes because it's a round number, for example. So it could be, 10 minutes to mark out, plate up sort of thing. Could be 10 minutes to rough it in. Could be 10 minutes to cut it out. And it could be 10 minutes to fit it off, and 5 minutes for testing, just so to speak. I don't even know if those numbers added up. I think they did. So it gives you an idea of that. But the way you actually execute it now is in the stages. So when you get your costing together, really important to understand that you've got an idea of how am I actually going to perform this job. And I think this is where estimating comes into it. When you estimate a job, you've got the IP now associated with it. So you understand how you're going to execute it. Because as you're quoting, you design, like you're actually running through how you're going to do it. And by quote checking it, you break it down now into the stages of, hey, we've allowed 10 hours for this, 100 hours for the rough in, 100 hours for the cutout, 300 hours for the fit off, for example. Just throw those numbers. So then you can allows you to forecast a little bit easier. To then look at, you've got reference, you've got something to go back to be like, oh, hey, this is what we've allowed for this stage. So there's so much more to the quoting and estimation side of things than just getting a number together.
It all varies project to project and type of project. Like you might have, like, let's just say you've got a standard brick veneer house or cladded house. Your fit off will take a certain amount, your cutting will take a certain amount and all that. But then when you go to different things where you've got like rammed earth or off form stuff, it's like the rough in and fit off are kind of nearly in the same stage.
Yep.
They're not like they're combined, you know what I mean? There's no real cutout in off form. You've got obviously the conduits to start off with, and then you rough in the cable and you can nearly fit off the same day if you do it well enough.
No, 100%. So really understanding that part of it all. So then what it allows you to do is get an understanding. Oh, hey, we've got this job coming up. It's going to take us, and depending on the way you execute your jobs. So you might do your jobs in a team of 2. You might do your jobs in a team of 4. You might do your jobs in a team of 6 or 8, depending on the type of work that you're doing. But it gives you then an idea of like, oh, hey, we can forecast out. It's like, oh, there's a week here for that. There's 2 days for this. There's et cetera, et cetera. So I think really getting an understanding of how that will work gives you an idea of understanding of what workload is coming up. The next step associated with that is, like Joe touched on there, is communicating a lot with your client. So I'm a big believer in communicating with your project style work every single week. just keep in touch with them, check in, because you never know what happens or what comes up, because it could be a stage of like Joe said there could be some off-form concrete being poured, or not even off-form concrete, could be some block work going in that is required to have something in there for the future. So it could be getting
the bricks and afterwards.
Yeah, it could be getting clattered, could be core filled, could be things like that, but it doesn't matter. It's the fact that you need to get it in there. And then understanding and keeping on top of that. And what I think here is that where you really exceed and can excel with the relationships is you're being proactive, not reactive. So you're staying on the front foot, and you're actually helping them and staying on top of it. So
that
really want to
does get tricky if you're a smaller crew and you're busy. That does get hard, keeping on top of it. But I think it is important. Like there's been times where we've slacked off on that because we're just flat out.
Mm-hmm.
But it is important to keep that in the forefront, because the building game is a very tight game too. Like, depending on what kind of builders you work with and what relationship you have with the builders too, the easier and more simple you make it for the builders, the easier it'll be for you. That's just the reality of it.
Yeah, 100%. And it gives you opportunity. So I think really understanding that forecasting. So that's in a project space sense. If we're looking at your service and maintenance style work, obviously forecasting for that can be a little bit more challenging, because sometimes it can be a little bit reactive. Things come in, things can be more urgent than others. But I still think having an understanding of when things are occurring. So I call them you've got your service and maintenance in a sense of, hey, there's reactive maintenance, make goods repairs, those sorts of bits and pieces. Then you have like your little projects within service and maintenance. And what I say that, they're not really like a long term, but they're mini projects. So it could be anything that's less than a week is the way I describe it. So it could be 1 day, could be 2 days, could be 3, could be sort of that falls within under a week. So I think it's really important to understand what you've got going on in that space, in those, like what day jobs do you have, what multiple
bathroom rental or something.
Yeah, multiple ones you've got going on, so that you can pencil them in and schedule them out. So you're not creating a rush on yourself of what's occurring and what's going on. And I think, what I do in this space is I sit down and we sort of check ourselves each month. Hey, what's going on? What do we know is upcoming? What could be upcoming? And pencil it in to be like, okay, cool, this is what we do have. So it allows you to forecast. Now, some of them may drop off a cliff, like in the sense of, hey, we thought this was going to happen this month. Now it hasn't. It's moved into the next month, which is okay.
We've had that this year. Like, we had a month of rain here.
Mm-hmm.
Like, for months that we thought that would be flat out of roughing and cutouts, there's now pushed back a month, 2 months, because they couldn't dig footing. Like, it's just, it is what it is.
Which is crazy. So I think when you start to pencil in, like forecast out for the months ahead, it starts to give you an idea of where your workload's sitting. Now, strongly recommend that you do this, because it gives you some clarity around, hey, what do we have coming up and where does it sit? Because you could be like, oh, hey, we've got we've got these 10 jobs on the card. So there could be, 10 project style jobs, and we could have another 10, what we would call just, service and maintenance style jobs, along with our ongoing work. Now, those 10 could be great, but 5 of them might not start till next year. And what I mean by start is we'll do the mains now and maybe some civil work. So, but then the bulk of it is not occurring till next year. So I think it's important to have an understanding of where that sits, because you could be sitting there going, oh, hey, we're sweet for the rest of the year, where in reality it's like, well, we've probably only got, across those 5 of them, for example, that really kick on next year, 5 of them might only take up 2 to 3 days in total. So if best case scenario, there's 2 weeks of work for maybe a couple of guys. Worst case scenario, 15 days, so 3 weeks. So you've gone from thinking, hey, I've got 5 months of work, to, oh no, we've only really got 2 or 3 weeks. So I think it's really important to measure that out and mark it out to see where it sits in your ecosystem across the board.
I also wanted to quickly jump back to the service side of things, Ken, before you go too far. You've also got, I think in the service area, you've got, as you said, you've got your reactive maintenance ones, and you've got your plant, like your small mini jobs. You've also got your planned service and maintenance. So like your thermal imaging, your test and tags, your RCDs, your emergency lights, like that kind of planned stuff.
Mhm.
And especially if you're in an industrial sense, you've got your maintenance for machines and stuff,
Mhm.
like contactor checks, board clean outs and stuff like that, depending on what sector you're in. You can allow, you know how long it's going to take because you've done it multiple times. So you can plan ahead, cool, this needs to be done in August. Well, we're quiet at the beginning of August, not the end of August. We will push that service and maintenance a week ahead.
Mhm.
Like, yeah.
It gives you the flexibility, and it's known, like it's like, all right, it's 2 days, or it's 3 days, or it's 1 day, or it's a half, whatever it is. It gives you the ability. So that is, I think it's really important to get your head around and understand the workload, what you have on your books at the moment, and where it forecasts and where it sits, because that job that might be it could be 18 months. And I think if you're not sure on these things, just have the conversation with the client. Like, be like, hey, what's the sort of, what's your expectation? Now, they're going to generally be within probably give or take a percentage associated with it. So if they're like, hey, it's going to take 12 months, they're probably, I find generally speaking, most people fall within sort of 20% of that sort of, weather and things like that can affect it. They can, if it's dry and perfect, they'll rock it ahead. But if it's really wet, they do get delays on it.
You will also find if you're unsure of timeframes and stuff, just ask the builder because they're going to have a time plan anyway.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because they have the concreters to organise, the gyprockers, the plasterers, the electric, like the tilers, the painters, it's all organised. So they're going to have a schedule anyway. So if you're not sure where you sit in that schedule, just ask them. And generally they'll give you a decent printout.
Yeah, 100%.
Like,
So
just ask.
I think it's really, really important to don't be shy to ask in that sense and get an understanding, because what it will do will put you at ease and give you an understanding of like, oh, I didn't realize. I think it alleviates to that shock. Oh, I didn't realize that you'd be wanting us now, sort of thing.
Yes.
And you're like, oh, cool. So
It also,
I've got 4 other jobs on there.
forecasting like allows you to go like rough ideas. It's never set in concrete. It's never set in concrete forecasting, but it allows you to look at it and go, cool, we're a team of 3 right now. September, October, November is going to be hell. Do I start looking for a tradie now?
Mm.
Like, that's just like literally, that's just coming from us right now because I know looking ahead, September, October, and November and December is going to be busy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So looking at it now going, cool, if I can get a tradie on board in the next 2 months, he'll be landing on us right now, forecasted peak busy time.
Yeah.
Which then frees me up a bit to not be chaos.
Yes. Yeah. So being aware. So then the workload then is directly linked to the hiring. So being aware of that, and
Well, the hiring's directly linked to the workload.
yeah. And then I probably, before we move on to the next sort of area we want to move to, parking it here in the sense that if you're too busy to know what is happening and where the forecasting is, and I'm going to say this probably applies to most people, almost, is that you're too busy. You're doing too much on. Now there's a lot of things. There's a lot of plates, a lot of balls in the air that do need to be managed, but the forecasting is huge and it has such a massive influence on your business, because you don't want to get to a time of year and then it's like, oh, we need 2 more people, and it's too late. It's too late to have an understanding. It creates massive drama. So I think you really need to put the time and the effort associated with it. And I would say I like to do the time to do it. There's no distractions. So for some people, it may be that it's outside the working hours of the day so that no one's ringing you in that time frame, because you do need to have a bit of a clear headspace associated with it and the time to work through each job and then pencil it in. And then it may be an ongoing communication too as well, of like, oh, hey, this job, I've got no idea. I need to fire off an email, or I need to make the phone call and let them know it's on the to-do list. So really want to emphasize that how important the forecasting. Have you got anything else to add to that, Joey?
Yeah. Also, if you're not I think if you don't forecast, like, it doesn't have to be pinpoint, but you need to kind of have a rough idea, because it's, as you said, if you get to that stage where you're flat out, you're going to get to a stage where you got nothing, because you are so flat out, you don't have time to look ahead and go, okay, we're quiet here, can I find something to fit in there? You're going to hit that quiet space without knowing there's a quiet space.
Yeah.
So forecasting in busy times is just as important as forecasting in quiet times.
Yes. Yeah, have an idea. So that's sort of one area around the workload there. The sort of next area I wanted to have a discussion around is, so your existing clients. So the database that you have of customers that you have worked for previously and done work previously for. And this is in a way that I probably would describe it quite simplistically as these are the people you want to nurture. And that nurturing can be a million different ways that work for you. But what are some things that you think are important, Joey, to keep your existing clients aware of what you're doing or what your capabilities are, keeping in communication with them potentially, or just making sure that they feel loved, particularly if they're an ongoing relationship?
I think there's two ways to look at this. There's a nurturing and making sure your clients are okay, and then there's a nurturing in a way of expanding for work. Because if you got, like, let's just touch the nurturing and looking after the clients. Well, if we got a client that we did heaps of work for, then heard nothing for 6 months, and then we did a whole heap of work for, because it's just the way that their nature of their business flowed. But if we didn't, like, we touched base every month, just a quick text, like, that's all it takes. And then, like, in that time frame, if you don't touch base in that 6 months of where they're in between projects or in between whatever they're doing, that's 6 months where another Sparky can start building a relationship. Like, you're not directly in contact, but all it takes is a 2-second text to go, hey, just checking in, especially if you've worked for them a fair bit, on that personal level. For us, personal-wise, you've got your obligatory, like, Christmas emails and stuff to say thank you for your support and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Up to you if you find them important or not. Depends what kind of clients you have, I guess.
Yeah.
Betty, 70-year-old Betty would love it.
Yes.
But a property manager or a strata manager, on the other hand, would be like, archive. Like, you got to pick and choose who you send it to.
So do you think it's understanding your client base?
Yeah, pretty much, in how you look after it. For looking after them in another way is gifts. You can do gifts to clients. I know we had property managers. We used to do literally just a box of donuts.
Yeah, nice. So just a
drop in and go, hey, thanks for using us. Here's a box of 24 donuts.
Yeah.
And if you drop it right at Smoko, or like morning tea time, they love it.
And I think it's understanding that I'm going to say something's better than nothing, right? So, and when I say something, it could be a phone call, could be a text message, could be just an email. Like, so that those things there, quickly, I'm going to touch on is that I would call that they're faceless, like in the sense of, so you're not presenting yourself. Something is better than nothing. Now, are there more beneficial, or are there
stick?
Some stick a little bit better. Yeah, sure. But also too, I think it's also understanding the client too. So, someone who is extremely busy and under the pump the whole time is that they are happy with probably a phone call or a text message. You know what I mean? Or a sporadic drop in, where there's other people who they may be, when I say stationary, is that they're at a static place the whole time. So they operate out of the same location all the time. They don't leave there. So they're quite happy, and they have a bit more flexibility because they're not on the move the whole time. So I don't think you can underestimate people being on the move the whole time and what the impact it has on your day. So, like, if you're on the move, and what I say by that, you're traveling around. If you get caught in traffic or go a little bit overtime somewhere, we can relate to this because it's what we do for a living. the flow on effect occurs. So you want to have a look at, hey, how can we work for each individual and what works for them? And I think you have an understanding, and this is where you can make notes against the clients, or the CRM systems and things like that can particularly help.
We have a customer love folder.
Okay.
Basically, especially when we had lots of little clients, like I'm talking like back when we were doing property management and all that stuff, we'd have a customer love thing.
Mm-hmm.
And when it came to like Christmas and big events, we would rank them top 10. Top 10 would get a decent gift. Everyone else would get an email.
Yeah, so I think it's about not understanding where your database sits. And I'm going to touch the first thing on here is like what you want to be having a look at is what I refer to as gold star, gold standard. So the ultimate goal.
Before we jump into that, can I just go part 2?
Yeah, go back.
Yeah, go back to the nurturing but in growing work.
Yes.
So nurturing and growing work, like we just added a couple of different services to our thing. Like we're in a regional town, not many people have gear access to different things. Like we've just added like an infrared, like a thermal camera and that kind of stuff to our services. So a quick email to commercial clients or anyone and go, hey, this is what we've been up to. This is what we've just added. And you can pick up work from that quite quickly. They go, oh, I didn't know you did that.
Yep.
Or like we had a strata manager where we flipped it out and they're like, oh, cool, we didn't know you guys did that. And we've just added another scope to what we can get from them. So nurturing clients in that way and keeping them up to date with where your business is at, I think is very important.
Yeah, what you can and can't do, what your capabilities are.
What capabilities are. Like if you've added in the last 12 months, added 2 or 3 staff members, your capability for that builder has just skyrocketed compared to what it was when you had just 1 staff member.
Yes.
Like it might be like a certain builder of ours does 3 different kinds of builds. They do small renos, new builds, and then class 2 stuff. Like we might have been doing the small reno stuff and then we're doing their new builds, but now we've got 6 or 7 staff. We can start looking at their class 2 stuff as well.
Yep.
So keeping your client nurtured and up to date with where your business is at is very important, I feel.
So making them aware what your capabilities are.
Yeah, and what you can and can't do.
Nice.
Like we added level 2. Again, we go, hey, we can do level 2 stuff now. Our capabilities changed. People's network might be different where they go, oh, cool, this guy needs a level 2. 2 weeks ago, they didn't know you were.
Yes.
So, yeah, nurturing in that sense as well.
Yeah, cool. I like that. I like that a lot. So, I will just go. So, what I've touched on there, the gold star, gold standard style client, it relates to both looking for new opportunities, but also to your existing one. And I think it's something that you should all aspire to. Who you want to be working with, what type of work you want to be doing, and then what are they like? So, is the work profitable? Are they generally good and easy to deal with? Are they easy to have, a big conversation with? And then are you happy to do work with them? Now, there's going to be people you've worked for in the past who you probably don't want to do work for again, and that's okay. So just there's no need. You can move on from them. That's okay. But what you want to be really focusing on is the people that you enjoy working for, and the ones who your team also likes working for. If you do have a team now, and I think these are the people who talk as well, and they'll communicate out, hey, these guys are really good. So there are potential further opportunities within that particular space. Now, it's a fine line, right here, or not a fine line, but I probably think there's an element of you don't always need to be looking for the next opportunity, because sometimes the opportunity you already have in front of you, it just needs to be given a bit of a cuddle and given it a little bit of love in that particular sense. So, I probably really want to emphasize that the existing database, existing client base, existing people that you have, is that they don't need to be forgotten. And I think I've definitely been guilty of this, and I think most people will put their hand up and say they have been, is that often what you have is the one you neglect the most, because it's like, oh, they're already here, we're trying to find the next. So it's like, oh, hey, what can we do here with our existing? How can we give our existing some love how do we making sure that they feel the love associated with it?
Yeah, I also think that's a very interesting concept too, because especially if you're starting out in business and you start, let's just say you start along, like let's go project building sense, you
Yep.
start alongside a solo builder, okay, and you have an opportunity there to both grow at the same pace.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you're not nurturing and checking in with that builder, he might still be growing, but you're getting lagging behind because you're not communicating with him.
Mm-hmm.
So you can't grow with him
Yes.
in that sense. Like, yeah,
Makes
cool, I've
perfect
got a
sense.
mate that's a chippy. He started his building company, works guaranteed because he's my mate. But then you're like, you let him down a couple of times because he's your mate. And then he goes, well, I'm too busy now. I can't rely on Joe because Joe just comes and goes. So, yeah, nurturing existing.
Which makes perfect sense. So the love to the existing. Now, where I want to move to next around that is new opportunities or finding new work, whatever way you want to describe and what you want to have a look at, because it's all linked to workload as well as hiring as well. So you may now have a few more mouths to feed, for example. So you may have gone through a busy patch and fallen off a cliff. And it's like, hey, I've got some more mouths to feed, so to speak. So you've got to have one idea. So this is where it all sort of, I guess, intertwines with each other. So the forecasting, I feel, is really important to have an understanding of what you've got coming up. Obviously, you want to keep your existing people happy as well, but then you also want to be looking for new opportunities. I think this is really important to be, and I'm going to say it's probably an ongoing continual because there's going to be natural fall off. Like no matter what you do, there'll be a natural fall off of clients. Now it could be a divorce, like so, and I'm going to call it a messy divorce sort of scenario where it was just like you're a dickhead, no, you're a dickhead, everyone's a dickhead sort of thing, and sometimes that just occurs through um, a job that didn't go well.
Really?
A job that didn't go well, and it can come down to communication. Now the other one on that is that you might want to be upcycling. So there might be a goal in mind of the type of work and the type of clients that you want to be going to work for. So I know, for example, a company that I used to work for, they just made the decision one day. It's like, okay, cool, we're not doing any residential work anymore. And what they meant by that is we don't work for B2C, so business to consumer.
Yeah.
So it was all B2B work around that. So or it could be like, hey, look, no problems at all. We don't do any work for air conditioning anymore. So we don't do aircon anymore at all, sort of thing. It could be an arm of the business that you sort of cut off, right? And that could be due to capabilities, profitability. Have an understanding. I think this is where it's really important. Where it comes into like when you measure all your jobs, you get an understanding of where the work's coming from, where the profitability sits at, and how it's performing. So, and I want to look at it in a simple way. So you might have a client who gives you a job once every blue moon, hyper profitable, right? You may have a client who gives you work consistently every single week, and it's sitting at a profitable mark that you're comfortable with and happy with, right? And they're super easy to deal with. But the hyper profitable one, it's always a nightmare, right? So yes, it's hyper profitable, but they're difficult to deal with. So you need to start to understand where you sit in a business sense of what you're willing to accept and what you're not willing to accept, and then what you'll do is you'll start to filter out and start to build out what you want to be and what you want to call what your gold star, gold standard client would be. What are some things that sort of stand out for you in that space,
Like
Joey?
you're never gonna hit. You might hit the gold star client first time round, but 90% of the time you're not. You're gonna have to, like, you got to work with your capability.
Mhm.
Like your gold star client might be high end automated homes, for instance. You're not going to be able to do that as a one man band fresh off the bat. Like that's not capable. Unless you've already got connections and stuff like that. You might pick up one. Who knows? But you got to work towards that. So that might be working with builders that are not necessarily on that high end, but in that tier below, where you could build up from granny flats to new builds to duplexes to apartments, like stage it. But yeah, sorry, I lost my train of thought then. So yeah, I think it's very interesting to figure out where you want to go in your Gold Star client and the tiers to get there.
Yeah, and where you sort of currently are.
Where you currently are and what you need to add, what you need to change to be able to step up to the next tier.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's just different tiers of clients, different type of work requests, different things of you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, which makes sense. So I think having a look at it there is, so hey, we're looking for some new opportunities there. So where are we at currently, and what are we looking for? So what are we identifying? So get yourself together a bit of who you are and what you do best, like, and what you're willing to accept. What's the company stand for?
Yep.
Who do you want to be working with? I'm a massive believer that the goal needs to be whatever area you want to work in. Is that the goal needs to be that you're going to get repeat work out of it.
Yep.
It just has to be, because if you're constantly doing one-offs, I don't care what people say, it will eventually kill you. Like, it's exhausting.
Just the effort to get new one-offs.
Mm.
Like, yes, you might be able to make bulk money off them, but the effort and the time to keep getting the one-offs that you can do that with is just, I don't think it's worth it.
Yeah, which is fair enough. So how do you get your name out there? How do you keep going? How do you go organically about trying to get new opportunities and seek new opportunities out there? So I think first and foremost here is, what are the basics that you're doing right? Are we doing them well? Are we getting our quotes out on time? Are we following up quotes? Are we communicating with people? Do we have like reasonable time? So how are we performing with our existing clientele, right?
Yeah.
So it's all well and good to go seek new opportunities, but if it's a bit of a shambles in the background at the moment, well, you're probably going to be shooting yourself in the foot. So having a look at, hey, how do we get a little bit of organization and consistency around what we're already doing? Then it's having a look at some simple setup side. Have we got, a Google My Business setup? Are you building a reputation in your area of what you do? Are you, putting a switchboard sticker on? Are you being able to identify, like, are you leaving a bit of DNA, I guess, that you've been to that job? Have you got a sign on the jobs that you're doing? Are you wearing uniforms? Have your cars got signs on them? Have you got a business card? Not all of them might be applicable to everything that you do, but it's having a look at, hey, how we go for, do you have a social media presence? Do you have a website? Now, different things, like I said, are going to work for different people, but I think you need to understand that, hey, yes, I'm looking for new opportunities, but are you projecting the new opportunity in a way that people would be like, oh, hey, we would like to align ourselves with them?
Yes. I think it's very interesting in the sense, like, I just want to touch back on that word organic. I think it's an interesting word, because organic, like, you still need to water plants. I think, like, you know what I mean? Like, you can plant a seed, but if you do nothing with that seed, it ain't going to grow well.
Yep.
So, like, the whole organic thing is, yeah, cool. We're organically growing our business. We haven't done any paid advertising. Cool. But what have you done? Like, you know what I mean? Like, even like, if you've got no sign running, like, as you said, no sign running event, no logos, nothing, or even if you're not talking to people, like, that's...
You've handicapped yourself a bit, haven't you?
You have. You've gone, cool, business will come to me.
Yeah. It's sort of wishing. And look, there's going to be, I'm going to say, most people who are by themselves, or maybe have one other member in their team,
Don't need paid.
you're probably going to naturally be pretty busy, right? It's just the nature of the world that we live in currently. There's, a real need for trades, and particularly if do some basic things like answer your phone and turn up, you're going to be busy. But once you start building out a team, you've got to start feeding that. And like you touched on there, is like, have I got a basic background setup of getting ourselves moving in a direction that, hey, we're we are what we say we are. You know, we can, if someone looked at us, are we doing what the type of client we're chasing
Mm-hmm.
or we're looking for that they could resonate with? Now, I think and like I do really like that analogy of like, yeah, there's organic, but you still need to water it. So it's sort of tied into like, you know, there's organic, which will happen, but you still need to feed it. So it sort of ties in with like the mentality of like going after it, seeking it,
Yeah,
hustling it, however it is that it's twofold. You need the sort of standing, but then you can turbocharge it a bit by actually actively seeking.
being very proactive.
And so, what ways have you gone about in the past of actively just looking for new opportunities?
A couple of different ways. Like we run paid, like we got paid and then non-paid, and then in all honesty, any kind of advertising or seeking is going to cost you somehow.
Yeah, it's time or money.
Time,
They're the two things.
that's
Yeah.
what it is. Like as a younger business, time is what you want to spend, not the money. As you get bigger, obviously you can dump the time a bit and spend the money on it, depending on
Or you can pay someone to be doing that.
the time. So when we first moved back to Coffs, when we relocated from South up here, my goal for this business and the kind of work we want to do projects, we want to do builds, we want to do the stuff that I enjoy, not on through roofs, not underneath houses, like that kind of stuff. Like, cool, it makes money, but it's not. I don't find it exciting.
Yeah.
So we had a goal to work for builders. So we got a spreadsheet made up of all the builders in the area. Okay, you can get a VA to do it.
You can do it yourself. Like it's easy to do.
Like VA, it cost me $30, and I got 150 builders, 200 builders on a list. You just got to be very specific where you want it and so forth. But I cold called for the first 6 months.
Yeah.
Still am touching base with different builders that said no. And then it's like, I think we called it 100 builders in 6 months.
Yep.
And we're working for 3 of them.
Cool.
Like, people are going to go, that's 3%. Like, yeah, it is, but it's better than no percent.
100%. You miss 100% of the shots you don't shoot.
Exactly. And a phone call, takes a minute, 2 minutes? The hardest part sometimes is the motivation to make the call. Like, I think sometimes for me, it took longer for me to G myself up to make the call than actually make the call.
Yes. Makes sense. Yeah.
Especially after you've done 10 phone calls until I'm not interested. And you're like,
yeah, getting a lot of knockbacks. But I probably want to touch on that is that you might be getting a no, but you're planting the seed.
Exactly.
Right? So I know some contact that I've had with clients over the time is that the opportunity might not come for a year or two down the track. So I think it's about being aware and being, I guess, aware enough that you're playing the long game.
And
there's so you might, and I think the type of fields that you play in will depend on the responsiveness. Now, so if you're working in higher end construction, for example, or higher end service and maintenance, higher end, larger, I guess, areas at play, is that you're going to naturally get more opportunity. Whether you're capable or not is a completely different story, because a lot of them are obliged to go to market, so they must get pricing from multiple people. The other one too is a lot of it is there is price driven, and then there's also capabilities. The other thing too is that a lot of these type of clients, they spread their risk, so they won't go with one person. They might have 3 or 4 of every trade that they rotate through, because what it comes, if they gave one client all of their work, say they gave one electrician all of their work, the capability probably wouldn't be there of being able to execute it in a way that would be to the level they're looking for. So they utilize it to spread their risk as well, because there's also risk associated with it, that they don't go all in on one, because if it goes wrong, then it goes wrong across the board. So rather than being wrong on one. 100%. So have an understanding around that where it sits with that associated with it. There's a mantra to it all of that you just got to do it, right? And the consistency will build out over time. So if you think about it, if you if you go to the gym, right, for example, every day, or let's just call it 3 days a week, every day for a year,
Yeah.
you're going to be better than you were 12 months ago. If you contact 5 people every week for a whole year, there's 260 people that you wouldn't have contacted ordinarily.
Mm.
If you practice making that particular style dinner 20 times, the 20th time is going to be a lot easier and probably better than it was the first time. So I think as humans, as we get older in life, where I look at my children, it's funny, there's no fear, no risk associated to a degree with anything that they do. Their consequences are mum and dad will look after them, right? So
clothe them.
There's that
fearlessness. Parents when they eat cars, that kind of stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. So there's that fearlessness associated with it all. So, but I think as we get older, unfortunately, what happens is like we get that knocked out of us a little bit. I know we're not going to dive into that part of it all, but I think what I want to encourage everyone to have a look at is like, hey, what's the worst here that happens, right, in this situation? It's no. That's it. You might be called a dickhead. You might be yelled at by someone who's having a bad day. But, I think in the scheme of things, the worst case scenario is you don't get a response or you get a no, right? So I want to probably encourage everyone to look at ways that they can continually build and be aware of where their workload is. So there's 2 parts to it all. Be aware of what's happening. Hey, where are we sitting at? What do we have? And I really want to push that because sometimes the complacency kicks in. You're like, you know what? If I sat back over the last 5 years and we went through all these clients, what could I have done better? Now, there's always going to be the argument to be like, oh, look, they weren't the right fit. They were a dickhead, all that sort of thing, or it didn't work out. I think you need to look back and retroflect yourself. What could I have done better?
Mm-hmm.
Right? Look, the result may have been the same. The outcome might have been the same, but I really think you need to look at it. What could I have done better? And I'm going to say every time that you would have, if you could have had your time over again, you would have handled it differently.
Mm-hmm. I also think looking at it that way is it's not looking back on it going, okay, cool, we lost that client. Why did we lose that client? What could we have done better? It's not about trying to get that client back. Like you might not want that client back. It's about taking the step and making your business better so you don't lose another client that you don't want to lose.
Mm-hmm.
It's about learning what you could do better so you are a better product, better person, better business.
Yes, 100%. And I think if you take anything away from what we've talked about today is use everything as a learning opportunity, how you can be better, and then applying that to be better in the future for everything that you do. And then you may get to a point where you have work flowing in the doors. You've got the client base that you've always dreamed of. And naturally, what will occur then? New opportunities seek themselves.
Yeah, you'll start to coast on the waves you've created. It's just what it is.
100%. And that's almost like the ultimate goal is like, hey, I'm content here. And I think Crowley always goes on about this: is you may have no aspirations to be a company of 10 people. It just may happen by itself, right? So, and you just said then, it's the catching the waves that sort of just are rolling in, but you've created those waves. And you've created the ability to jump in on it. So
you threw that stone in 18 months ago.
Yeah.
And now it's finally got momentum and you can coast on it. It's not I think we're also stuck in a world where it's instant gratification, instant results.
Mm-hmm.
Like in the business building game, if I've learned anything from what I've done, like pull me up here if I'm wrong, but what you do now is what you see in 12 months' time.
100%. Yeah. You're only as good as what you're doing 3 to 6 months ago.
Yeah, exactly. If you're just starting a business, what you're doing 6 months ago was working for someone else.
100%.
So you were building their business, not yours. And then, like as I said before, if you 6 months ahead earlier you were flat out and you weren't nurturing clients, you're going to be dead, and vice versa.
So I guess having a look at it all is that it's not as scary as you think it is. And I'm going to look at it this way, is that doing something is better than doing nothing at all, right? And then learning from what you've been doing is the most important thing. So learn from potential mistakes that you've made, or learn from the experience that you've been through, right? And how can you apply that to be better moving in the future? And really strongly encourage everyone that something is better than nothing. So if it's only one person a week, it's better than doing 0 people a week.
You're 52 new people that know your business name.
100%. Anything else you want to add there?
No, I think that's it. I think we've pretty much covered it. I think you got to understand people don't know who you are either. Like, no one cares who Benchmark Electric is. Like, really, unless we tell them who we are, no one knows.
Yeah.
Like, is a very funny thing. We had a normal mechanic to go to, we couldn't get into, so we went to another mechanic and just like, oh, I didn't know you guys were in town. And since you guys came here, I've seen 5 vans. I'm like, there you go. She didn't know who we were.
Didn't know, yeah. And I think that's the you really need to understand that too, is that people are so caught up in their own lives that what people actually think of you is nowhere. It's like it is a micro.
Just because
of what's actually, people got so much other things going in their life. So like, the fact that you reached out to someone, they might have been a little bit abrupt or rude or just a hard no, like they're not going to remember. That's so just so move on from it all.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
And you've got to remember too, just because your business is such a big part of your life, it's very tiny of other people's.
100%. Well, Joey, as always, been a pleasure. Thanks very much for joining us. Thanks everyone for tuning in, whatever you're doing, whether you are fitting off a light fitting, driving around in the van, or got the boombox going on site with the dulcet tones of the Sparky Coach podcast. Enjoy whatever you're up to at this point in time, and we'll catch you next time on the pod. Enjoy your day.
That's a wrap on another podcast. Whatever you're doing, don't be too busy to stop and check if you're making money. And above all else, you know the rules, be kind. See you soon.